Hi, this is Barbara Reiss. We're here at Temple B'nai Shalom on Fern Road in East Brunswick to find out exciting details about the history of the temple and its 50th anniversary celebration. We're very fortunate to be able to speak today with founding Rabbi and Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Eric Milgrim, as well as current Rabbi Eric Eisenkramer. In addition, we'll be talking to Harriet Golub, former president of the temple, as well as Howard Goldberg, who is one of the co-organizers of the 50th anniversary celebration. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today at Temple B'nai Shalom. You are the founding members of this temple, so we're excited to hear more on the 50th anniversary, a little bit about the history of the temple. So maybe I'll start with Rabbi. You could tell us, how did Temple B'nai Shalom come about?
Oh, Barbara, it's a wonderful story, and it's hard to believe that 50 years have passed. But if I can give you a synopsis of the history of our temple, I would begin in October and November of 1972. There were many people moving to the East Brunswick area, and as they were moving to the East Brunswick area, they were leaving behind families, extended families, and as they settled in this area, they began to reach out and look for new friends, and hopefully friends who could ultimately become part of their family. And there's a mythical group of 10 families that had gotten together and said, wouldn't it be nice to have a liberal Jewish synagogue here in our community where we could educate our children and come and worship together? And with that, the temple began with that little conversation. And the very first thing that was done is that there were ads placed in the Weekly Sentinel. And after having the ads in the Sentinel paper, they met in late November with people who responded to the ads. And at that time, there were about 30 to 40 families, and they said that this might be viable. Let's see what we can do with that. And they kept, this initial group kept meeting on a regular basis, and in December of 1972 they incorporated, and they then decided where were they going to do and what were they going to do. So they looked around, and the first thing they wanted to have was religious services on Friday night. And so they noticed that many of the schools in East Brunswick were closed or empty on Friday night. There weren't a lot of activities going, so they approached the East Brunswick school system and said, could we rent a room, what do you call it, where the auditorium or lunchroom to have services? And they said yes, and they said, well, Irwin School is available. And they said, well, that would be just perfect. And so they started to have services as 40 families on Friday night. And one member became the service leader. One member became the ONIG provider. That was the after-service social get-together. Another member ordered the books and brought the books every Friday night. And they started to move along at a nice pace. Soon the families still continued to grow. They got to a point where they were very serious about becoming a permanent congregation in East Brunswick, and so they approached the Academy for Jewish Religion, which is my rabbinical seminary. And they spoke to the dean of the school at that time, and like any organization, they were a committee of people who met with the dean. And after the dean met with them, one day, I was walking in the hall of the seminary, and the dean of the school came up and he put his arm around me, and I said, what did I do now? And he said to me, Eric, I just was approached by a group of very excited young people in East Brunswick, and they're trying to put together a synagogue, and they're looking for a rabbi to give them some direction. And the dean said, I think you would be the perfect person for them.
So were they at now, and just so I understand, were you at this location yet, or had you not moved to this location yet as a temple?
Where we are now? Mm-hmm. The temple did not exist at this time. In fact, once first, let me go back and say, first the congregation was known as the Reformed Temple of East Brunswick. And they took that name because they wanted people immediately to recognize what they were. They were the Reformed Temple of East Brunswick, and they did not have a building, and they did not have a school. They had just a desire. And very soon after they began to have services at Irwin School, they began to have the nickname in East Brunswick as the Phantom Congregation. They were known as the Phantom Congregation because on Friday afternoon you could walk into Irwin School and it looked exactly like Irwin School. But at 8 p.m. on Friday evening in the auditorium, it looked like a Reformed Jewish synagogue sanctuary. And that was because of all the volunteers that were involved. One volunteer who owned a station wagon would drive up early, and he would open up the back of the station wagon, and they pulled out something that looked like a cabinet, and they stood it up, and it became the Aron HaKodesh, the Holy Ark. Another one drove up to the temple in his car. He opened up his trunk, and he picked up a holy Torah that he borrowed from his family's synagogue. Another one would pull up, and he had a case of books, prayer books, and he brought them inside. And other people were arranging the chairs and the podium, and everything came together, and there was a place to have services. So there was no place, and I must say that looking back, I know that some of the children who attended Irwin School during the week sometimes would drive by Irwin School with their parents in the car, and they would point and say, "That's my temple." But it was not a temple, it was Irwin School.
It's a lot of effort by volunteers.
It was all volunteers at that time. Everything that happened with volunteers, absolutely. And so I was invited to come to Irwin School on a Friday evening, and I came in April of 1973 to services, and I led services, and the sanctuary was filled up. And by the time I came, there were 60 families already. So it had grown from that mythical 10 to the 20 or 30, and then all of a sudden it was 60 families. And after my meeting with them and leading services and getting to know a lot of the people, one thing that happened at that first Friday evening service, immediately after services, 5 or 6 very tall guys came up to the podium where I was standing. When I say tall guys, I'm saying that because they were taller than I. And they went around the group and they said, "I'm Marty, I'm Morty, I'm Murray." And I'm saying to myself, how am I going to remember all of these names? They all sound the same. And we immediately had a chemistry with one another. And they invited me to become their founding rabbi at that time. And from April of 1973 through September of 73, I was out here almost every day of the week when I could make it, because I was still a senior student at the Academy for Jewish Religion. And when I was coming out here, I was meeting with different committees, all volunteers, trying to put together a functional synagogue. And the two busiest committees that I was involved in was the Ritual Committee and the Education Committee. And the Education Committee and I developed a curriculum, and we decided to follow a philosophy of a Reformed synagogue in Long Island that had a Sunday school who was taught by volunteers and a midweek school that was taught by paid professionals. And by doing that, they separated the curriculum into a Hebrew curriculum and a non-language curriculum. The Hebrew curriculum was taught midweek by paid professionals, and the Sunday curriculum was a Judaic religious curriculum that was taught by volunteers, and we had teachers covering every grade, from kindergarten all the way up to the 7th grade at that time. So on the day that we opened in September of 1973, we had 100 families who had joined the temple, and we were growing quickly because the holidays were coming up after the opening of religious school, and we had our first High Holy Day services at the East Brunswick High School auditorium. And that's how we really began.
So it's a huge growth from where we started, right, here at B'nai Shalom. The name changed, the location changed, and volunteers really made all that happen with you. So that's an amazing thing. And speaking of volunteers, we also have, and we'll come back and forth, but Harriet, tell us a little bit. I know that you started a little bit later than Rabbi, but you've been here many, many years in many, many volunteer positions. What does the temple mean to you?
Oh, my goodness. The temple is my home. Rabbi Milgrim always talked about an extended family, and that's what I have here, and that's what congregants have here. I didn't know anything about Reform Judaism. When we moved to East Brunswick, what's Reform Judaism? I don't know, but I'll go. And then I met Rabbi Milgrim, and then I came to services, and it sang to me. I understood the service. At that time, the religious school was huge. My daughter and her friends joined. My son and his friends joined. I have many friends that I connected with through the temple. And it was the best move I did for my family and for myself.
And what is your message for the, we have a reaching milestone here at the temple.
Yeah.
What is your message to our next generation of families that are coming to the temple?
Oh, that's complicated, Barbara. Years ago, the temple was a home to so many families, to so many experiences. My feeling is that we need to understand the purpose of spirituality in our life, in religion. It's not so much going to temple every Friday night, but it's to have a connection. If I have a problem, I could call Rabbi Eisenkramer, Rabbi Milgrim. There's a support system here for people my age who have become widows and widowers, and they combine together. And one woman said to me, their sisterhood did a function at a Broadway show, and she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, Harriet, she said, I am so happy that I belong to this congregation. I said, Anna, why? She said, it is Hamish. I came here, both of my parents are gone. I came with nothing, and everybody embraced me at this temple. So that's the essence for me of joining a temple. It's not only for the religion, it's for the community.
And for those that may not know, Hamish, a warm environment, right?
Yeah, thank you.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So, and the development of the temple, you were there quite early on for the development of the temple as well. And were there any particular activities that were your favorite activities at the temple?
Being a member here, I joined when my son was 8 years old, when he had to become trained to be a bar mitzvah. For my children, we had a Shabbatot. My daughter would go to different temples on a Friday, Saturday, and celebrate. The Purim spiels are wonderful. We have Shabbat under the stars, a barbecue, and over 100 people come out to that. The High Holy Day services for me here are magnificent. The music is spectacular. Rabbi is wonderful. It's the culmination of everything during the year that spiritually that comes together during the High Holy Days.
Thank you. And Rabbi, tell us a little bit now, so as the temple progressed and grew, we had certain other associations that you had within the community. One of them was forming the clergy council. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I was a founding member of the East Brunswick Area Clergy Association. That goes back to the very early days of our temple, and I had reached out initially to the minister of Trinity Presbyterian Church and to some other ministers, and we got together for coffee and we were talking and said, wouldn't it be nice to have an interfaith service for Thanksgiving? And at that time, the minister of the Trinity Presbyterian Service jumped up and said, I'll volunteer my church immediately. He said that immediately for the very first service. And at that time, we had a cantor by the name of Roger Weisberg. Remember Roger?
Yeah, I do.
Roger Weisberg, who also played the guitar. And we said, well, I would love to come, and I'm sure that our cantor with his traveling guitar would love to come. And it started just like that. And with that, we decided to try to have monthly meetings where the clergy of the East Brunswick area would come together, and we would meet in different churches in our synagogue and talk about what's going on in our respective houses of worship, but also what was going on in East Brunswick itself and how to help make East Brunswick a better community.
And now that group has grown, and the Thanksgiving service is beautiful. It's a highlight every year for the community. So we thank you for all that both of you have done for the community. It's exciting that this temple is celebrating this milestone. Any thoughts of favorite memories, Rabbi, or favorite moments as Rabbi of the temple for all those years?
Oh, wow. Well, the day we moved into the building was a favorite moment. It was right before the High Holy Days of 1978, and we had a ceremony of fixing the mezuzah, the religious document that we place on the doorpost of an entranceway. We had almost the entire congregation came out for that, and it was lovely. And then when we were able to finally get our own Torah, we had a ceremony of bringing the Torah into the sanctuary, up into the Arona Kodesh, the Holy Ark. That was another favorite moment. All very good memories.
Those are big moments for a temple, right?
Yeah,
and for a rabbi.
Very important moments.
Are there any particular memories that you have of your time here at the temple?
Yeah, as Rabbi Milgrim was talking about the Interfaith Clergy Council, we had an interfaith ride of discovery here once. And we contacted Father Tom from St. Bart's and Imam Shibli from the mosque on Route 1 in South Brunswick. And we started at our temple, and Cantor sang some songs, and people came in and they were singing, not knowing the Judaism, and then we had a bus and we went to St. Bart's, where Father Tom explained all of the rituals. Then we went to the mosque, and they couldn't have been nicer to us. And when we got on the bus, I asked people not to sit with their friends. So I was sitting on a bus and with some woman and from the mosque, and I said hello. I introduced myself, and she said, what's your practice? And I said, well, what's your practice? And she said, well, my mom died. She said, and I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to say prayers for her. And I said, isn't that something? And I go to services every Friday night to say what we call Kaddish for my mom. So it was one of the proudest moments I had of our temple. and coming together as a community, a diverse community.
So we have more similarities than
Yeah,
we have
we do.
differences.
We do.
So excellent. Well, thank you for taking the time to explain to us a bit of the history. There's a lot more, I'm sure, but a snapshot of what has transpired to bring Temple B'nai Shalom to where it is today. Any thoughts, and I may ask both of you this question, what are your hopes for the temple moving forward, having this understanding of our history? What do you hope for the temple? Rabbi, maybe we'll start with you, your hopes.
Well, on the one hand, it's hard to believe that 50 years have passed. Sometimes I think they pass very quickly, and sometimes I think 50 years ago, oh my goodness, what a long time. Well, but in essence, I dedicated my entire life to this synagogue and this Jewish community, and I'm very happy that I did. I've had a very good life, and I've had a blessed life, and my life was really blessed because of my association with this synagogue. As I grew as a rabbi, the synagogue grew. We became a very important part of the East Brunswick area, and we continue to be a very important part of the East Brunswick area. I've now retired from the active pulpit, and Rabbi Eisenkramer has replaced me as a wonderful clergy person. And really what I would say to the community at large is that that Temple B'nai Shalom is a very viable entity. We are a wonderful synagogue. We are not only a home for ritual, but we're a home for extended family. It's a place where we have an excellent religious school, and we have social and cultural activities that make you feel very much a part of the extended family of Temple B'nai Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi. And
well,
Harriet?
I can't beat that. Rabbi said it so succinctly. For the next 50 years, my wish is that the temple will succeed and grow like it's doing now, and be the voice of Reform Judaism in East Brunswick.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for all your efforts for Temple B'nai Shalom throughout the years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're very fortunate. Thank you, Howard, for being with us today.
You're welcome.
We have an exciting time coming at the temple with the 50th anniversary, and you and Rebecca Brenowitz, as well as your committee, have been working diligently to make this 3-day event happen. Could you give us a little overview of what people can expect from our 50th anniversary celebration?
Sure. Well, number one, it's going to be an amazing experience. We've tried to create a weekend celebration that everybody can enjoy from all ages, not only if you are a member of the temple, but also if you may be a member of the community. Because after 50 years of being here, we are proud to be part of this East Brunswick and surrounding community. And we're also happy that we have not only been able to be a source of worship for Reformed Jews in this area, but also been able to give back to our community in the many programs that we do socially and with the community. Friday, May 17th, we'll start our celebration when we're going to do an epic worship service and dessert reception, which I've nicknamed our Jazzed Up Shabbat, because we are known as a musical synagogue. We do use a lot of beautiful music. And on that Friday night, we're having an invitation of past choir members and present choir members, and bringing back some of the professional singers that also work with us on our performances. So the choir is going to be pretty amazing. And I understand that there's going to be old music, new music, and music with a twist, accompanied by violin, saxophone, in addition to our pianists, Kevin O'Malia, who will be providing the piano music that night. Afterwards, we are going to have an amazing dessert reception, and I must name drop Duck Donuts has graciously donated their incredible gourmet donuts for the event, and Aruga's is donating their famous hot chocolate chip cookies, and we've got many more surprises to come for the evening, in addition to some live jazz music, a little piano playing and singing that's going to go on for the evening. So it should be a lot of fun.
Could you tell us a little bit about Saturday night? I know that's going to be a spectacular event.
Sure. So Saturday was, creating Saturday was quite a challenge at the beginning, because we wanted to have something really special in celebrating our 50-year anniversary. And that can get expensive, especially nowadays as we're dealing with rising costs and such. And so we wanted to also make it cost effective so that many could be a part of this and not feel the stress of buying super expensive tickets. So our number one goal was to figure out a way to generate support and get sponsorships and donations from the community to help us make it possible. And I've been amazed by the outpour of support and goodwill and wishes and generosity that the community has given us in allowing us to do something super special. So we will be having a beautifully decorated event along with a cocktail hour, and then we'll be walking into our temple sanctuary, which is going to be called Temple B'nai Shalom Ballroom that night. And in addition to a fantastic dinner by Palm Plaza Caterers, we will also have a memorabilia movie montage where we have spent a lot of time and effort custom creating and editing and interviewing founding members, young and old, multi-generational families and members, and also recorded fantastic stories and photographs of all the many simchas, celebrations that the temple has been a part of in so many people's lives, from weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, and other special events and activities and programming that we've had throughout the years. So it's going to be very exciting to have that presentation. And in the midst of that, we promise to have a lot of fun, dancing, good times, an opportunity to get dressed up and see old friends who you may not have seen in a long time, and meet new friends, and enjoy some great desserts and a wonderful evening for everybody. Rolling into Sunday, we're going to do a Sunday family fun day, and we've collaborated with our religious school, and this event, I must stress, although it has grown with much support and participation of our religious school, is for all ages. We are going to have an art installation, so if you'd like to participate, you can pick up a kit where you can get a small canvas that's been prepared with all the supplies you need to do your little part to create a communal art piece that will be featured somewhere here at the temple, and that will come together on Sunday. We've also got a wonderful spread of delicious food, lox, bagels, cream cheese, salads, generously donated by Crazy Bagel and other vendors who are giving us support, including Stefano's, who's bringing in pizzas. And we're looking to make sure that we have Israeli food as well, because our Sunday Fun Day's theme is to emulate the experience of being in an Israeli shuk, which is kind of like an open air market. And so there are a lot of great things to be experienced that day, including Israeli dancing, some regular dancing, and lots of fun activities and programming that's been so wonderfully planned by many, many volunteers. And we thank our religious school and parents and other volunteers that are helping make that all possible. And so this weekend will really kick off this celebration, and we hope to continue to share in the memories of the weekend and other great things that possibly are going to be made possible because of our efforts this weekend that will continue to grace upon our temple here throughout the rest of the year in a continued celebration.
And you are working together with Rebecca Brenowitz and a team of volunteers to make this happen.
Correct. So I'm a co-chair with Rebecca Brenowitz, and we've got a great committee that's working collaborating together and lending their unique skills and time and talent to help this all become possible.
Now, as you plan all this, I'm sure you reflect on your own time here at the temple. You've been a member for a long time, and your family has grown through here. And could you tell us some of your memories that you remember fondly as you prepare for this big day?
Sure. Back after 9/11, tragically, a tragic time, my family had grown to 4 children. And we had recently moved to the East Brunswick area and happily joined Temple B'nai Shalom. That was in 2002. And my wife Annalisa and my kids Eric, Daniel, Justin, and Sarah Beth quickly became comfortable with our temple here as kind of like an extension of our home. I found that being involved just meant for me to take one step forward in the direction of being a volunteer or participating in something at the temple. And before I knew it, we were so comfortable and familiar and meeting new friends. And at that time, I also joined our choir. So I've been a member of the adult choir here for over 20 years. And I love being a part of that, and I love it gives me an outlet in my life of working hard and spending time with the family. I do get to escape on a Tuesday night for rehearsals, and one thing that it really does, it makes sure that I get to services on time for all the special holidays.
Well, you sing beautifully, and in fact, you're always involved with the Purim play. Maybe you could tell a bit more of the Purim spiel, how that goes.
Yeah, so our Purim spiels are epic and not to be missed, and we do the story, the Megillah, the book of Esther, according usually to a Broadway show or musicals. I'm often typecast as Haman, but I am one of the most likable Hamans around. That has been a lot of fun being a part of that. And I'm an event planner, decorator. I have a lot of creative energy. And so I like to lend that to the Purim spiel by helping decorate the set, influence the costuming and what have you. And I do that with all of our other events when it's possible, when I'm invited to, or when I'm doing some other programming. So that's very rewarding for me. A number of years ago, there was a mantra here, and it still prevails. We all have time, talent, and treasure. Some of us have more or less of one or the other. And so and that's what I try to give back to the temple, is my time and my talent, because those are often the most flexible things that I have to offer, in addition to being supportive of the temple in any way that I can.
Well, you are, and Howard, you're very involved in the temple, and you've made such a difference here in so many different ways.
A couple of things I'd like to say. As a parent of 4 children who pretty much were raised here at the temple, and are now all adults, ranging from 26 to 35 years old, I would have to say that especially to younger families. Your involvement in your temple is so important, and you may not see the deepest rewards right away, but the payoffs are huge. The dividends are very fulfilling as you watch your children grow up and become adults, what you've exposed them to, the priorities that you've shown them when it comes to participating and observing in the best way that's right for you and your family. Those come back, and they're expressed in the Jewishness or in the culture or the way that your children prioritize their lives when they're older. And I'm so much enjoying that with my kids. And in saying that, we have a quote on the back of our invitation that really struck me, so it made it in the print. Honor the past, celebrate the present, embrace the future. And I'm looking forward to the next 50 years. I hope to be here to see it. Thank you.
So thank you, Rabbi, for being here to talk about this very special occasion of the 50th anniversary of the temple.
Thank you, Barbara. It's really an amazing accomplishment that our Temple B'nai Shalom is celebrating 5 decades here in East Brunswick, and we're so happy to be part of our temple, to be part of the East Brunswick community.
Now, you're such a special part of the temple, Rabbi. You've been here over 10 years. You're bringing our temple into the next millennia. So tell us a little bit about what's special about B'nai Shalom.
Well, it's been really a great honor to be the rabbi and serve the congregation for the last 10 years. I'm very grateful to all of our congregants who have worked so hard to sustain our synagogue for 50 years, to make us a home, a second home for our congregation for so long, and to have dedicated so many hours and so much effort to sustain our synagogue. And I feel very honored to serve here, to serve our congregation.
Now, your kids are very involved in the temple as well. Maybe they recently celebrated a bar and bat mitzvah. Tell us a little bit how that was a special moment for you and your family.
Of course, my children have grown up here. When I came here, my children were 2 years old, and they were right behind me as our bima, our platform, and my kids were running around on the bima and getting into trouble. They grew up here at our temple, going to religious school and learning and growing as people. And then, as you said, we had the incredible celebration of their bar and bat mitzvah service in August, and I'll always hold that day. To share that day with my family and my temple family was extremely special and something I'll always hold in my heart.
And we have a lot of young families who are involved in lots of different activities through the temple and through the religious school. What are some of your favorite memories? Obviously, the bar and bat mitzvah had to be on the top of them, and during your time here, what do you hold dear?
Yes, well, first I want to thank you, Barbara. Barbara Reiss is our religious school director here at Temple B'nai Shalom, and you're so dedicated to our children and do so much for our religious school family, so I thank you for that. And, I have very wonderful memories of so many holidays celebrated here at Temple B'nai Shalom, welcoming the new year on Rosh Hashanah with apples and honey, celebrating Purim and Passover and the freedom and the flat matzah and the freedom of the Jewish people. And, I have wonderful memories of celebrating all these holidays here in our sanctuary and with our religious school families, and having a seders with all the children and adults running around and making noise, and just feeling that this is their home too, that this is their second home where they're comfortable and they're welcomed and supported. I have many wonderful memories of just all these special times that we've spent here at the synagogue. We have celebrated 50 years worth of bar and bat mitzvah ceremonies, 50 years of weddings, and 50 years of baby namings. We've seen these incredible, joyous occasions with adults and families and children and grandchildren. And then we've supported each other in very difficult times. We supported each other in times of illness and times of loss. And that's what it means to be a part of a congregation. We're here for one another, and we are a second family.
And you're very involved in the community. I see you, we all see you at a lot of community events for East Brunswick as a whole, as well as outreach to other places of worship. Maybe tell us a little bit about your efforts in this area.
It's very important that all of our faiths here in East Brunswick work together and support one another. We have a wonderful East Brunswick Clergy Council that Rabbi Milgrim founded here at our synagogue in our community 50 years ago. And that tradition continues. We hold an annual interfaith Thanksgiving service when hundreds of people come, and we all give thanks for the blessings that we share. Despite, no matter what our faiths are, we all come together in common to give thanks, and we support one another. In addition, we have a wonderful program here at the temple called the Daniel Pearl Education Center. And the DPEC was founded in the memory of Daniel Pearl, who was killed in 2002. And they run very important programs for our community. They have speakers. They have musical programs because Daniel Pearl was had a love of music. And in addition, we run an annual trip to the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. This is a very important trip because it involves children here, 7th graders in our religious school, and also 7th graders from the Hatikva school, and 7th graders from St. Bartholomew's Church. So we all go together down to Washington, and we tour the museum, and we seek to learn the lessons of the Holocaust. These are lessons of standing up against hatred and treating others with respect.
So really, it's an outreach for the whole community.
Yes, at Temple B'nai Shalom, we for 50 years we've been serving our community here and our members, but we also look to serve the East Brunswick community and to help support. We're involved in food drives and blood drives. We want to do our part to make the township a better place too.
And you are. And tell us a little more. Recently, you've been working with East Brunswick Jewish Center together with some programming.
Yes, we've loved to work together with East Brunswick Jewish Center. We have a program for our Hebrew high school students, and I teach that along with Rabbi Brand Spiegel from East Brunswick Jewish Center. And it's very important that all the Jewish community comes together and works together. We're all Jews. We all must support each other and support the continuation of the Jewish religion and the Jewish people.
Yeah, and recently we were hosts to a tri-synagogue Purim Carnival, correct, including Young Israel and the EBJC, so it's nice to see the communities coming together, special events.
Absolutely. Purim is one of our most Jewish celebratory holidays each year. And the Purim Carnival, during COVID, of course, we weren't able to have it. And now it was back in full force. We had like 200 people. We had a magician. We had carnival games. It was wonderful to see the mayor and town council president and other officials. And we were just so happy to be able to celebrate together this joyous holiday.
So, Rabbi, tell us a little bit of some of the special programs or aspects of your activities here at the temple.
Sure. We are a very musical synagogue. We have a wonderful cantor Andy Edison, who brings such joy and musical inspiration to our services and our holiday worship. And every year he puts together an incredible Purim spiel, which I know has been spoken about, but it's a real highlight here at the temple. It's a retelling of the Purim story of Queen Esther and the evil Haman, and it's set to some sort of Broadway theme, and they just have an amazing time. We fill up the sanctuary, and everybody really celebrates together. So we have wonderful musical programming, and spirituality can really be found in music. And so the more that we sing together and come together, I think the more we get in touch with those spiritual parts of ourselves. In addition, we have taken a trip to Israel here as a congregation a few years ago, and having the opportunity to go to the Western Wall, the holiest spot in Judaism, and to all be together as a congregation and to place our prayers into that wall, prayers for healing, prayers for hope, and prayers for peace was a very profound moment for our congregation.
Very meaningful. And we're a multi-generational temple, and looking towards the future with our youngest members in our religious school, we have a wonderful Vice President Robin Zone of Education. We have music from our Robin, wonderful teachers and so forth, and volunteers, our parents. What are your hopes for bringing in younger families to the temple to continue the tradition of Temple B'nai Shalom?
Well, we want to be a place where children learn, where they feel comfort, where they feel appreciated, and where they can see the beauty and value of Judaism. So that is what we try to do, and try to really create a wonderful and welcoming environment for all families and all children. And as you said, we want them to see the importance and value of the Jewish traditions and how it can help their lives and help them become good people. So this is our bread and butter. This is what we do here at Temple B'nai Shalom, and we welcome all families to join us. Come to our synagogue, come to our religious school, come to our services, and come celebrate with us 50 years of Temple B'nai Shalom.
So what are your hopes? We look at the past 50 years, we've talked about the past. Now looking forward with you at the helm, what are some of your hopes for Temple B'nai Shalom?
Well, as I said, I am so grateful to all of the members of our synagogue who have given of their time and effort for 50 years to sustain our temple. And I am looking forward to continuing our traditions. We are going to continue to be a community. We're going to continue to be a community that supports one another and cares for each other. We're going to continue to be a place of prayer, a place of study, a place of community. And we're going to continue to be a temple family that is there for each other. Now, I want to share also that in the Bible, there is the custom of the Jubilee. The Jubilee took place every 50 years, and it was a time of freedom and a time of celebration. And when you celebrated the Jubilee in biblical times, you blew the shofar to mark the occasion. So what I'd like to do now is take the opportunity in celebration of the next 50 years of Temple B'nai Shalom to sound the shofar as we begin this next section of our journey. Mazel Tov to Temple B'nai Shalom.
I want to thank all of our guests for sharing their memories and hopes for the future of Temple B'nai Shalom. On a personal note, I want to extend my congratulations to the temple leadership and congregants, both past and present, on this momentous occasion.